Hey everyone, today I'd like to show you my recipe for a Sri Lankan mutton curry. I have all the spices set up here, and as we go through the recipe I'll tell you which spices I'm using and in what quantity. I have prepared the the mutton. And this basically is about 2 pounds of mutton. I pre-marinated it with the curry powder and a little bit of salt. The mutton you can get in any Mexican restaurant. It's called chivo. It tends to be a bit bony, but I've cut off most of the bone, so this is mainly flesh. As for the spices, what we'll be using today is a little bit of ginger, garlic, chili peppers, curry leaves, cinnamon, cloves, fennel, cardamom seeds, an onion, and a lime. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is prepare what's called the meat powder. And the meat powder is made up of cinnamon, cardamom seeds, fennel, and cloves. So what we're going to do is roast it for a couple of minutes and then grind it so it becomes a fine powder. And basically what this is to accent the flavor. You put it in towards the end and cook it at a low heat, and it really traps the flavor into the final mutton curry. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to pour all of these into the pan. And you can see there's not a lot of cloves, just a handful because it's pretty powerful. So basically I'm just going to let this roast for a couple of minutes, and okay, so as you can see, the meat powder is getting roasted. You have some smoke coming up. The seeds have gotten darker. So we're just gonna let it sit for about another 30 seconds, and then we're gonna put it in the grinder. Okay, so everything is done roasting. Put it into the grinder, which is like a coffee grinder. And I'm just going to grind this for about a minute. Make it messy. So you can see that it grinds into a fine powder. It's going to leave some residue because not everything is going to grind finely, but you can pick out some of those shells and the cinnamon sticks that didn't grind properly. Okay, now I'm going to prepare the pot. I'm going to put about 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. And just going to put little bit of fennel seed and let that heat up for a bit. Okay, now that you can see the fennel seeds starting to cook a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and add the onions. Get that all mixed up. We're going to add the garlic. We've now added the garlic. We have prepared the onions and garlic. I'm going to go ahead and put the mutton in. I'm also going to add the peppers. I'm going to add a couple of curry leaves. mixed everything up. I'm just going to cover it up and let that cook for a few minutes and let the water come out of the meat, and that's going to create a little bit of a gravy. So now you can see, you'll start seeing some of the water come out. At this point, I'm going to add a little bit more curry powder than what I just marinated it with. I'm also going to add a little bit more salt. I'm also going to add the ginger. Okay, so now you can see we've moved this down to a lower heat, and you've got a lot of the juices that came out of the mutton. It's cooking nicely. We're just going to let this cook on a lower heat for another 10 or 15 minutes, and then I'm going to move it down even lower and add the meat powder and let it finish off. Okay, so the next step is to add what we call the meat powder, which is what we ground up earlier. This is just going to really accent the flavor. A couple more curry leaves. Okay, so as you can see, it's just cooking in a low heat right now, so it's going to just absorb the flavor at this point over the next 45 minutes. I did add a little bit of lime. I'm just going to put a splash extra. And this is the final product. So what I like to do is just keep it turned off, let it sit in the pan for about 1 hour to really let the flavor sink in. But at this point it's pretty much all done and ready to serve. So thank you for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it, and enjoy your mutton.